All right, I've got a couple big announcements for you guys. Number one, PFF's player prop tool is now available on the web for all PFF Plus subscribers. And number two, PFF Plus is 40% off right now. If you use the promo code BLACKFRIDAY, you get all of the same data, grades, and analytics that all 32 NFL teams use, all 136 FBS teams use. As well, you get access to our 2026 NFL mock draft simulator, that world-class player prop tool that can help you nail all of your bets, and of course, the best fantasy football tools on the planet as well. Again, 40% off PFF Plus right now when you use the promo code BLACKFRIDAY. Texas A&M at Texas, again, on Black Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC, the Lone Star Showdown between Texas A&M and Texas, one of the best rivalries that we have in college football. This is a game with SEC title implications for Texas A&M and really Texas's last chance to even be in the at-large conversation. A&M is the last remaining unbeaten team in the SEC with an 11-0 record. A win for Texas A&M would send them to their first ever SEC championship game appearance. If they lose to Texas, they are still alive for an SEC title game appearance, but they would need both Ole Miss to lose in the Egg Bowl to Mississippi State and also Alabama to lose to Auburn as well. So before this game even kicks off, A&M will know whether or not they even have a chance of making it to the SEC title game with a loss. But again, a win is all they need to make it to their first ever SEC title game. If that doesn't happen, Dalton, if A&M misses out and they lose this game, A&M not only could miss that game, they could miss out on a first-round bye altogether. There is a chance that A&M falls all the way down to, say, number 5 or so in the playoff rankings. We'll see what happens later on. Texas, they can't make it to the SEC title game no matter what happens this weekend, and likely can't make it to the playoff with an 8-3 record. But I will say, if they beat an undefeated top 3 team in the country in Texas A&M, they have some other really good wins this year, obviously, too, over Vanderbilt and over Oklahoma. There is a chance, if chaos happens, that Texas gets in at 9-3. Again, I don't think it's likely, but if they beat Texas A&M, Texas would at least be included in the conversation for an at-large spot in the playoff.
Might have a pulse, but you need a lot of chaos. You would need, you're talking about Alabama, you're talking about maybe Oklahoma, you're talking about Utah, BYU. You're going to need some teams to lose in there before Texas can sneak back into really most likely what would have to be into the top 10 when you look at the ACC and then that group of 5 spot that you're looking at stealing that 11 and 12 spot there. So do I think Texas would jump into the top 10 with 3 losses? Probably not, but you mentioned it. It's rivalry week. It's the last week of the regular season. Things could get chaotic with all these games that are happening. So it would start, I think you would almost argue it could start with that first game right there with that Ole Miss game. If Ole Miss were to lose 10-2, not the best resume in the world, Lane Kiffin, you never know for the chaos. But either way, Texas at home against their hated rival, they're going to want to come out and play well in this.
And also, I would say right now, of any 3-loss team in the country, Texas has the best chance of making the playoff because their resume at 3 losses, I would say, is still the best in the country.
As far
as any 3-loss team.
As far as an at-large, absolutely. They're probably the only one that would even have anything close to a pulse of doing it. Yes.
So you have the Texas A&M offense with a potential Heisman finalist at quarterback in Marcel Reed against one of the best defenses in college football. What should we know in that matchup?
Look, you're going to see a high-flying matchup, and this looked Texas A&M. The difference between this year's team and last year's team, to me, has been the development of their passing game. Now, Marcel Reed at times been a little bit shaky, right? I think especially in obvious drop-back scenarios hasn't been the best, all the time, but especially in the play-action game and his ability to rely on these receivers, Mario Craver, Casey Concepcion, and even Ashton Bethel-Roman, who's been really getting in there as a third option, a really good third option for them. It gets interesting when you talk about against this Texas secondary that has kind of struggled lately, Max. Since week 9, they're 116th in the country in coverage grade. They've given up at least 31 points in 4 straight games. Now you're playing a team that's 14th in the country in receiving grade. You got to prevent yards after catch. Texas A&M with the 3rd most yards after catch per reception, which makes a lot of sense when you talk about Concepcion and Craver being the two of the best guys in the country with the ball in their hands. Top 10 also in contested catch rate and explosive pass percentage. So I think when you really look at it, Texas secondary has to play better than they've been playing lately. I know they've been banged up a little bit. They've been playing some really good passing offenses lately, but they got to find it against these receivers, because if you let these two, especially on the outside, Craver and Concepcion, run wild on you with the ball in their hands, they can put up a lot of points. We already know that. I feel good about Texas' run defense in this game, although A&M can obviously comfortably run the football. You've got Ruben Owens, E.J. Smith, Reed gets involved there, but I really think the matchup is these receivers on the outside against a Texas secondary that started out so hot the first half of the year and has been struggling a little bit lately.
Yeah, I have kind of a similar matchup in this one for Texas as well. It's a red-hot Arch Manning against one of the nation's best pass defenses that we have in college football right now. Arch Manning, of course, was the Heisman Trophy favorite going into the year. He hasn't quite played at that level this year, but he still had a really strong debut year as Texas starting quarterback. 83.2 passing grade, 22nd among all quarterbacks in the country. 88.7 passing grade since week 9 is tied for 6th among all quarterbacks in the country. So he's really been playing really good football over the last few weeks of the year, and he's really good from a clean pocket as well. A 91.1 PFF grade when kept clean. The problem for him, though, is that the Aggies have one of the best pass rushes in the sport, the 10th best pass rush grade in America, 11th best pressure rate in America at about 39% this year. The star of that unit is edge rusher Cassius Howell, who right now looks like a first-round pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. He is tied for 2nd in the nation with 12 sacks this year. Considering Texas is only 69th in the country in pass blocking grade, that could be a mismatch in this game. And also, the Aggies are 28th in coverage grade too, so really good secondary for Texas A&M. So it won't be easy for Arch Manning to carry this Texas offense to victory, and he probably will need to do so because Texas, which hasn't really had a good run game all year, is going up against one of the best run defenses in the country in Texas A&M.
I really like, there was a few weeks there to get Arch Manning back on track. The Steve Sarkisian, he kind of dialed back the offense a bit. He had shorter throws, screens, get Arch into more of a rhythm, and then the last couple weeks starting to attack downfield more. The most recent game against Arkansas, which isn't a very good defense, but taking deep shots down the field, right? Who's going to step up out here at receiver? Parker Livingston, Ryan Wingo, Emmett Mosley. These guys, they got to get in a rhythm on the outside. I think Texas has figured out they need to be a perimeter speed kind of team. They need to take those shots downfield when they can, but until then, work up those yards after catch, kind of in the same way that Texas A&M does. I think they've really come into their identity of what they want to be as a team. Would he like to be able to run the football better, Steve Sarkisian? Absolutely, but just hasn't been able to come this year. And then we're going to find out which Texas pass protection shows up, right? There's been good games, there's been bad games. That all adds up to them being 68th in pass blocking grade this year, but this is a dynamite group you're going against. When you talk about Cassius Howell and Deion Hayes in this defensive line, they've got a real task in front of them blocking those guys. If they can, and if Manning can continue to play in the rhythm that he's been playing, they've got a shot to win this game.
So, in the Lone Star Showdown, Dalton, will Texas A&M clinch their first SEC title game appearance in program history, or will Texas pull it off and also stay in the conversation at least for an at-large playoff spot?
This is a hard one.
Yeah.
This is a hard one.
This is one of the hardest ones.
We've seen some scares at times from Texas A&M, right? They've played some close games against, you remember the Auburn game, obviously Notre Dame way back in the day.
South Carolina.
The South Carolina game, well publicized, that one for sure. This is a hard one. I think both teams are Texas is obviously extremely talented, right? They still have the defense. We will see if they have, I think, is Anthony Hill questionable? I believe I saw that. We will see. That would be a big plus if they got him back for this game. He missed last week's game. You know what? I'm going to ride the home team here. I'm going to go with the Longhorns. I like the rhythm that Arch Manning is in, and it almost feels like Texas A&M is due for one, doesn't it? It really, to me, this game, I think comes down to the composure of the two quarterbacks and which one potentially could turn the football over as well. We've seen spurts of that from Marcel Reed. Now, we've seen spurts of it from Manning too, but he's definitely been better down the stretch this season. I'm going to take Texas to get one at home and knock their rivals out of the SEC title game.
What's your score for that game?
My score, I believe, I have it 31-27.
Wow, high scoring.
I think there is some opportunity here for both offenses to succeed. I also think I think it does come down to turnovers. I think this one between Manning and they're two really good defenses, but I think A&M's still a bit vulnerable at times in the secondary when quarterbacks do have time in the pocket. And Texas, again, the last 4 games hasn't been great on the back end. Maybe they're getting a little healthier. Maybe Michael Taft getting more in a rhythm back there. But I think this is another one. I think you throw everything else away at a certain point and just go, these two teams are both really good. They both hate each other. This is going to be a really fun game, but I'm taking the home team.
I'm going to take the better quarterback in this game. I'm taking Texas as well. I'm taking Texas to win this game 21-20. I do think it will be a defensive slugfest, obviously by my score right there. And I think Texas at home is desperate. This is a desperate football team. A&M, they're making the playoff no matter what. Obviously, they need to win this game in order to most likely make it to the SEC title game. If they lose, they still have a chance at making it to the SEC title game, but likely not because they need both Ole Miss and Alabama to lose. But Texas is desperate. They need to win this game to even have a chance at making the playoff. Again, an outside chance, but still a chance at making the playoff. And yeah, the Aggies now, if they lose this game, they would need help in order to make it to the SEC title game and also potentially need help to get a first-round bye in the playoff as well. I think A&M's been playing with fire in recent weeks. I think Marcel Reed against that defense is going to be an interesting matchup to watch as well. I think Arch Manning and the Texas defense will get it done at home and beat Texas A&M 21-20.
It feels like such a culmination for both. And I know you get that a lot this week, but for these two teams, especially with Manning and with Reed, which one do we get, right? The complaints about our Arch Manning have been the inconsistency. The complaints at times from us even about Marcel Reed have been the inconsistency. What do we get out of both quarterbacks? I think that's going to be the biggest bit of suspense, especially early in this game. If both of them are feeling pressure from the opposing pass rush, who's going to keep their composure longer and just not make the big mistakes to take their team out of this game? It's going to be a lot of fun.
By the way, for any Georgia fans wondering, both Dalton and I think A&M's losing, which would send Georgia to the SEC title game once again. Again, both have Texas beating Texas A&M, which would be an awesome, awesome game on Black Friday.